Hi everybody, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of palms, and I'm here with Stephanie.
Hello, and Amy.
Yes,
Hi,
we have
and
Amy.
welcome to our garden community.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us. We can't do this without you. And we're going to go over a whole range of different palms from zone 7 to 11, natives and non-natives for your garden. So you all ready to dig in?
Sure am.
Let's grow. Okay, you ready for this deep dive? Because here we are going into group 1 native palms. These are great palms for your southern garden. And why native, some people ask? Because they're super resilient. They're adapted to live in the conditions of the area where they're native. So they tend to do better with pest resistance, and they also bounce back quicker from storm events and even droughts. Okay, let's start with the first one. This is my favorite Florida native, the Florida thatch palm, Thrinax radiata. So cool. Beautiful, beautiful palm. Doesn't get very large. There's also a cousin, the Keys thatch, that's similar, but it's not as popular as the Florida thatch. And you can basically use her everywhere. You can put her in tropical groupings. I've even designed and had some installed for right-of-ways for the Parks Department. And they do great in containers. They're super drought tolerant. I just love this Florida native. Super tough. Highly recommend it for you. And now on to the sable palm, also known as the cabbage palm. Does well in zones 8 to 11. It is a staple of South Florida. They are slow growing, but their uses are endless. You can use them for framing homes as a focal point. They do great in clusters. You do want to make sure though you space them at 10 feet apart because you can have an issue with them crowding out. And another cool thing about sable palms and palms in general is that orchids love to grow on their trunks. Here's a perfect example. Look at this dendrobium, just digging it. She's loving growing on her sable there. Here you can see Stephanie showcasing the thickness of a trunk of a sable. Sables also come in boots. They call these booted sables here in this image, so they can look a little fuller, but they will tend to fall off. These boots will tend to fall off over time. The sable is a classic, low maintenance, resilient palm for your southern garden. With sables, I wanted to show you this example of what a dogleg is. If you put your palms too close together, less than 8 feet, they're going to get these curving legs to them to reach for the sunlight. Now they can look kind of cool over time, but many times they kind of look distorted because the sable grows so slow and it can kind of look awkward. So you want to avoid that. You want to at least space them out 10 feet apart or more. And here we have the sable minor, which looks like baby sable palms. It's a very bushy and wide growing palm that doesn't get very tall, but it does form a nice visual screen for you. Here we have the royal palm, or the Cuban royal, native to Florida, grows in zones 10 to 11 and can get very tall. And for garden uses, these do great for large homes and big spaces. They will dwarf a smaller single-story home, so I don't recommend them for that. 2-story and above, these will do great. You can also use these as a way of lining a driveway. You've probably seen that a lot in some developments and even expressways. And right here you can see Amy and Stephanie showing you a scale of how big these guys get. Palm fronds are quite heavy when they fall, so you want to make sure you space these palms far enough away from your home so they don't damage any of the eaves. And always remember to put the right palm in the right place. And over here, these really cool natives are called the Everglades palm or Perotas palm. Grows in zones 9 to 11. Has these really cool fan-shaped leaves. You'll see that in some other palms we're going over today. But it's got these thinner trunks, but you can grow them in a group like this, and they're really cool because you can use them in actually lower areas like bioswales or rain gardens because they prefer more moist soil, so they're great in those areas. But look at that, isn't that amazing? This great looking accent palm is the silver sol palmetto, the Sonera. Has this beautiful silvery look to it. These striking fronds have a little sandpapery feel to them, They're very, very sculptural looking, really cool, especially in different times of the day where the sun's hitting them or even in the shade. They get a different cast to the silver. So cool looking. And here we have Amy showing you some scale. The silver salt palmetto will get to about 8 feet overall over time. And these are great as understory accents. You can use them as like a striking focal point of a part of your garden. Just a great Florida native. And there's also the regular salt palmetto, similar growth pattern, but it's just a darker green. It doesn't have that silver color. Both of them are super tough Florida natives. Grows from 7B actually all the way down to 11. And on the standard green salt palmetto, I prefer to use it as more of a buffer planting in the background of a garden or to provide some privacy. I like to use the Scenario for like a pop and a showcase plant, but the green salt palmetto, I like it more as a backdrop plant. Really cool when you use it that way. And this guy here is the needle palm. It is one of the toughest palms. It grows from 5B to 10A. This palm can handle the bitter cold. Really tough palm, got a really cool look. Almost has a look like the Laquala spinosa, which is so cool. You can plant these in groupings to form a nice and formal massing, and they don't need to be trimmed because they're palms, but you do need to be careful because the needle palm has thorns on the leaves and also on the stem, so be careful of that. This Florida native here is the buccaneer palm, goes by the botanical name Pseudophoenix sargentii. Really cool, but it's hard to get your hands on some of these because they're pricey. If you do get your hands on them, they're great as an understory or a focal in your garden. And while we're on the subject of pricey, this here, the Florida silver palm, is not cheap. Very slow growing, beautiful palm though, has these wonderful silvery casts to the underside of the fronds. So spectacular, almost looks like you're looking at a reflection. It's so cool looking. Really cool, but slow growing Florida native. Great as a focal, you can put them in pots. Wonderful, wonderful Florida native. But again, very slow growing. Here's the thatch palm, not to be confused with the Florida thatch though. Goes by the botanical name Cocothrinax inguinensis, and it's a really cool, slow growing thatch palm. Very similar to the Florida silver, but it doesn't have the silvery underside, but it's very striking pattern to the fronds here, right? So pretty. And in the garden, you can use it as a focal point or even place her in a pot and showcase her in your garden that way. Okay, now we're moving on to group 2, the non-native palms for your southern garden. But before we dig into those, I want to give you a garden note from my perspective. The Florida Invasive Species Council has deemed some of the palms that I'm going to go over with you today as a possible concern. That means that some of them may be able to break out of an area where you've planted them and get into a natural forest community, and they want to avoid that. But I'm going to do a little pushback. There are some palms here that I'm going to recommend that are on the Cat 2 level of invasiveness on the FSIC list, and they're perfectly fine in my opinion. I've never seen them create an issue. I think they're getting a little heavy-handed here. It's all about biodiversity. Case in point, the coconut palm is a class 2 invasive now. I totally disagree with them on that. It's my personal favorite non-native palm, but again, they put that on the list, so I just want to let you know that I'm going to show these little yellow caution next to the palms that they've listed as an invasive possibility, but I just want you to be aware of that. And while I'm on my soapbox here, I also want to point out to you all that I'm doing my best to get the exact botanical names for you, but the botanists love to change the names, and I can't tell you how many times over my career the names have changed for these plants. So do your due diligence, make sure you check and verify that you're getting the plant by the name. That's why I like to give you both the common and the botanical. And in gardening in general, always safety first. Some of these palms are going to have spines or armed petioles, so you do want to be careful of that. And also when you're installing some large palms, because we're going to show you some of them here today, you want to make sure you stake properly. So you want to make sure you get a reputable company, a landscape contractor, who's going to do this well, because you don't want these tall palms to tip over in a big wind. Okay, now on to the coconut palm. like you just heard from me, it is my personal non-native favorite palm. Here you can see a classic group of 3 coconut palms. This is at my sister's home, Mary Nell, and the sunset in the wintertime with these palms is just spectacular. Love these palms. And if those who have lived down here in South Florida, you may recall, I definitely did, because when I was in Little League, we had to go around and try to help put notices on people's homes because lethal yellowing, it is a non-curable disease that has affected many coconuts, and they were decimated in the 70s. So when I was talking about biodiversity, here's a case in point where I disagree with the FISC, is that we need biodiversity because you may have a blight that takes out all your coconuts. And that's what happened to the coconuts we had back then. We had mostly Jamaican talls, and those were highly susceptible to LY. Over time, researchers developed several resistant varieties, notably the Maypan, the yellow Malayan, and the green Malayan. And those are the ones you commonly see in the landscape today. The yellow Malayan is probably one of the most resistant to LY I have found. I remember seeing massive groups of Jamaican talls going down, but the yellow Malayans growing right next to them never got hit by the LY. So I want to note that out to you. And also the yellow Malayan, it grows smaller, but has these beautiful orange coconuts. It's like this yellow orange, so pretty. Now onto garden uses for coconut palms. They're great as coastal accents or focal points. You can use them to frame a home or a backyard like my sister did in her yard. They're just an iconic palm for tropical vibes. You don't want to just buy one from anywhere. You want to make sure you get lethal resistant varieties. That's why I'm mentioning the Maypan, the green Malayan, and the yellow Malayan. They're great.
Oh, look at that. So pretty. Under this grove of palms and all these orchids. Oh, you got a bunch of vandas on these. Wow.
Now moving on to the old man palm here. Here we have Amy showing you one right behind her. The old man palm is expensive and it's relatively slow growing, but so spectacular. And what it's known for is these wonderful furry beards along the trunk, mostly in the crown shaft area, but so pretty. And it's a great palm to use as an understory because it can handle part shade very well. But it's also a great coastal accent because it has some salt tolerance. So if you can get your hands on one of these, highly recommend it. This beauty right here is the Fiji fan palm or the Pacific fan. Grows in zones 10B to 11. Forms these enormous fronds that are just so beautiful and floppy looking. Absolutely stunning when it's a windy day, and we're lucky because it was a windy day when we were filming this. For garden uses, you can use her as a large accent or a focal point. And again, those floppy fronds just make her an ideal conversation piece for your garden. And here we have Miss Andrea showcasing the Areca palm. This is a classic palm in South Florida that people use to screen. If you plant this palm under trees or under really tall trees, it's going to have this beautiful light green color that you see. But if you plant them in full sun, which they can grow well in sun or shade, they will have a more reddish or yellowish tinge, which I don't like as much, but in partial shade, they do so well. They look so pretty. And here is a similar looking palm to the Areca called the Pemba palm, but I like it even more because the trunks have these ringed lines and it looks more like bamboo stalks in a way. So pretty. Absolutely love this palm. Very similar in how you can use her like the Areca as a multi-accent or even a privacy buffer. Just adorable. Over here we have the clumping fishtail palm. The FISC says this one tends to get away and can reproduce elsewhere. I haven't seen it, again, just letting you know. But it's a really great plant for privacy screening, I have found. Just great for that. And it has these wonderful fishtail-like fronds. So exotic looking. Super cool. and it's a very tough non-native palm for your southern garden. And this is the windmill palm, grows from 7 to 11, so it's really adaptable and cold hardy. Isn't that common way down here in South Florida, but it's a tough cold hardy palm, and it's a single trunk, and it's great for like a focal point for framing a home, really good for that purpose. This is the European fan palm, Chamaerops humilis, grows from 7 to 10B, forms a really dense cluster, and it's great for a privacy buffer, really nice for that. This striking palm is the blue Latan palm, or Latania palm, grows in zones 10B to 11. It's a medium stature palm, very striking, has these wonderful light creamy colored petioles, and there's also a red Latan that I actually used in our Miami Shores home. It looks so cool, so exotic looking. For garden uses, you could use them for walkway accents, like you can see here on the entrance of this home, or poolside. Just spectacular silvery blue fronds with that creamy petiole, so pretty. And if you're looking for a similar palm that's much larger, you could consider the Bismarck palm, Bismarckia nobilis. This is just a beast. So dramatic, very big head to them, very pretty. To me, it looks so much like a larger Latan, but it's a total different genus and species, but so cool looking. Steph, do you like the Bismarckia palm, the silver one?
I like the silver palm.
Nice.
And the coconut palm.
You like the coconut, right? Beautiful. That's my favorite palm tree, is the coconut.
Is it?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Wow.
I love it. For garden uses, you can use this as a major accent palm. I've had them for framing a building or a home. They're great for that, but it's probably better to have like a 2-story home. You can use a 1-story home if it has a high pitch. But what's cool about this palm is that they're silvers, so they contrast to all the other green palms you see out there. Here we have the 3-sided palm, or the triangle palm as I often call it. Super cool looking palm, but sometimes it gets this look that you can see here where it's looking a little ragged. It has a little more nutritional needs than other palms, but very striking. Big time conversation piece with this palm because it has these 3 sides of how the palms grow and forms this triangular shape when you look at it from different angles. So it's very unique, great conversation piece. This is the queen palm, Sigris romanzoffiana. I can't tell you how many times over my career they have changed the genus and species on this palm, but it's not one that many people recommend. And actually, I'm in agreement with the Pest Council on this one. It's a high nutrition hog and maintenance hog. It doesn't do so well in storms, so I'm not really recommending it, but it grows fast and she'll give you a mini royal look. So for a single family home, it may be something you want to consider, but just know there's going to be a little more needs for this palm. Here we have the foxtail palm, gets to about 30 feet, and she also looks like a mini royal in a sense, to me, more than the queen palm. And this one does not have the nutritional issues as the queen palm, so I recommend this palm over that. She's great when used for lining drives, garden accent, or even in a cluster. Amy, do you like the foxtail palm?
That's one of my favorites.
Hold on, Amy, for a second. We've got to rein in Stephanie. Stephanie, quit horsing around with the foxtail. We got more palms to talk about. The Christmas palm is very commonly used in southern gardens. They're typically sold in groups of 3, like you can see here. They're great for 1-story single-family homes because of the scale. They work really good with that. They are susceptible, however, to LY, but I haven't seen any issues with them lately. And other than the LY issue, the lethal yellowing, they're really low maintenance. They don't have a lot of pest issues. And a telltale sign to know that you're getting a Christmas palm is this hook to the fronds. It has this nice curving hook. This beauty here growing next to the rainbow is the Montgomery palm. I remember taking this video, it was about 12 years ago or so, and it just finished raining, and I just had to capture the rainbow. Next to it and down below is a rare type of queen crepe myrtle. We had a pink queen crepe myrtle, super cool. To the right of the Montgomery palm, you can see that we had some Christmas palms in our yard. And on the far left, a coconut. As for garden uses, you can use them as entry accents, you can use them poolside, It's just a beautiful, tall, elegant palm and has a graceful look to any garden space. And here, back to our house in Miami Shores, we have the Winnin palms. The tree in the foreground here is this beautiful shaving brush tree, has these beautiful pom-pom flowers, so stunning when she flowers. I chose the Winnin palms for this part of our garden because the spaces I was planting them are a little bit more narrow and therefore worked best in my case, but very similar to the Montgomery palm. For garden uses, you can use the Winnin palm similar to the Montgomery, but again, she does better in tight spaces. Here you can see her in the background there, shading our west side of our home along an alley. And of course, what would our pool party be without a teenager jumping off the roof into our pool? Oh, Connor, I wanted to strangle him for doing that. These palms here are the solitaire palms, also known as the Alexander palms. She goes by the botanical name Tychosperma elegans, does well in zones 10B to 11, will get to about 28 feet tall. I've seen them a little bit taller. Really cool, stately palm, great for poolside or an accent. Highly recommend. These are the Carpentaria palms. They're a slender palm like the Winnin, but even more slender, I would say. And they have these very feathery, hooked fronds. Definitely you can tell a Carpentaria from other palms because of this feature. Very, very fluffy and thin heads, but very nice palm. They're great for framing an entry or in tropical groupings in your backyard garden, or even poolside if you have a pool. This is the Chinese fan palm, Livingstonia chinensis. Gets to about 30 feet tall, kind of tough, goes from zones 9 to 11. I haven't had really any issues over the years planting these, but again, the council has said that this is a Cat 2 invasive, so it can be planted. You just have to be careful where you're placing it. If you live near a natural forest community, I wouldn't recommend planting this palm. Another thing I want to mention about this palm is it's pretty slow growing, so it's not going to take off like a queen palm or some other palms do. Royals grow fast, foxtails grow pretty fast. This is a slow growing palm. This beautiful dark green feathery palm is called the cat palm or the cascade palm. She goes by the botanical name Chamaedorea cataractarum. Grows from 10A to 11 and will get to about 6 feet overall. She doesn't grow very tall, so she would be great for garden uses such as a buffer. She does well in shady areas, so she can be used in that effect. If you have some big trees, you want to have some buffer there underneath them, these will do great. And she's also wet foot tolerant, so she'll do great in low areas like bioswales and rain gardens. This beautiful palm shouldn't fool you because she's actually very sturdy. She goes by the common name hurricane palm because she's very resilient to storm events. Her fronds here, these beautiful feathery fronds, bend in the wind real easily. And they're stunning though. They have this like silvery gray, but just so graceful, very feathery. And as you can see, for garden uses, she'd be great as an accent groups, and orchids just love growing on her trunk. This big, beautiful beast is the Canary Island date palm. Such a classic palm. So elegant, very large as you can see. Wonderful palm for your southern garden. Now on garden uses, I would recommend using this as a large statement for framing a home or a big home actually, because they get very large and the scale is, they can just captivate a space. And a fun fact here for you, this palm is also known as the pineapple palm because the base of the crown forms this diamond-shaped pattern similar to what a pineapple has. Here we have the medjool date palms. She goes by the botanical name Phoenix dactylifera medjool. Very, very captivating palm, very stately looking. They get quite tall and quite wide, similar to the canary palm, grows in zones 9A to 11. For these palms, I recommend using them as a large statement. You want to use them for a home that's at least 2 stories, and you want to use them to help frame a space or an entry court like they have here. Wonderful palm, similar to the Deglet Nor, but the Deglet Nor has more silvery fronds and more feathery and more open. The medjool here you can see has a very dense canopy. And that's how you can tell those 2 date palms apart. This cool palm here is a Sylvester date palm, goes by the botanical name Phoenix sylvestris, grows to about 40 feet tall by only about 22 to 24 feet wide. There's a triple here that you can see in this video. But she's great for single family homes. one story because she doesn't get too big that she'll dwarf the home. There's many different garden uses. You can use her in clustered focals, poolside, great as a framing on either side of a garage. Wonderful palm. This is the cliff date palm, very similar to the Phoenix reclinata, but this palm here is not invasive. The reclinata is invasive. I have seen that palm seem to take over some areas, so I don't recommend that, but this is a palm very similar to that, gives you the same kind of vibe. Highly recommend it. And this beauty here is the pygmy date palm, a classic palm for southern gardens, grows from zones 9A to 11. Phoenix robellini, love this palm. Very resilient palm, has done very well in storm events. Really cool because she typically grows multi-trunk and she has these wonderful bending, arcing trunks to her. Wow, such a cool palm. I actually use several of these for my pool planters because they do well in planters. And so what I did with mine was I wanted to create a tropical vibe, so I added some Arco-iris crotons, some Lutea alocasia, and then to the bottom right of the robellini, I had some chenille. I'd like to know more about what you like and don't like, so if you have a question or a comment, please leave it down below, or you can send it over to us at letsgroweco@gmail.com. We're here to help you, and we want to know what things that you like, and if you want to know more about palms, I'm going to be doing another video on a dream garden about palms and how you can envision them in your garden spaces to give you ideas. So if you like videos like that, just let us know so we can give you the best content for you. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Subscribing helps the algorithm push more of our content out there so people can find out about us. We really appreciate that. Thanks. This adorable little palm is the bottle palm. Has this adorable rounded Hershey Kiss base, only gets to about 10 feet. Really cute palm. Best used as like a cute little accent in your garden space. A similar palm is the spindle palm. And the spindles can actually grow in clusters of 3 or as a standalone. They have a very similar head as the bottle palm, just a little different look, but a really cool tropical vibe. These palms here are the Cuban petticoat. Super cool. It's a spiraling palm, very much a conversation piece. Grows from zones 10A to 11, slow growing and quite expensive. And another thing I want to mention about the petticoat is that the fronds themselves have a little bit of some armament on them, so you just want to be careful with them. But it's a big, sturdy palm, really cool. Very much a conversation piece in the garden.
Here we are, coming to visit my best friend from college, John. Look at his Baileiensis palms. Oh my God, years ago they were about 8 feet tall going in. Look at them, they're ginormous. He has a beautiful garden.
To use these in your garden space, I recommend having a very wide open space because they get enormous. So they're great as a large focal point accent. Super massive Costa palmate fronds will just take your breath away. Stunning palm. Really, really need to go see them. They have a bunch at Fairchild Tropical Gardens, so you should go check them out there. Such a cool palm. So cool looking. And here we have the palm we did our intro with, the Talipot palm. This is a massive palm, one of the largest in the world. Look at the petiole in those fronds, you all. It's incredible. So cool. Love this palm. As I've been saying that all along, love this palm and love that palm, but I love this palm. And for garden uses, it's going to be similar to the Baileiensis palm. You need a large open space. But there are some spines along the petiole, so just be aware of that. And a fun fact here, the flower of this palm is one of the largest in the world. Unfortunately, the palm will flower and then die, but the flowering is spectacular. And look, those are royal palms behind it. Look how massive this palm is. Stunning. This super cool palm is the gingerbread palm. Grows from zones 10B to 11. This example here is at Fairchild, and I don't even think people know when they're out there in the cafe area outside the greenhouse that they have this spectacular palm from Africa here. Grows to about 30 feet high by 25 feet wide, but she branches. That's what she's known for. Not many palms do that, and so she has this super cool effect. So if you're going to use one in the garden, I use this one as a center focal. Make this your conversation piece. So now let's talk some more about my favorites. This is my second favorite non-native palm, the red sealing wax or lipstick palm. Only does well in zones protected 10B, but mostly zones 11. Kind of rare, very expensive, super cool palm because she's known for these spectacular red trunks and petioles. For how you would use this palm in the garden, I recommend using them for entry focals. I like them more as an understory palm, but if you live in an area further north, these will actually do okay in pots, so you can take them in the cold and bring them back out. They're just so beautiful. This cute little palm here is the lady palm. She grows in zones 9A to 11. She'll get to about 10 feet overall and is a clumping type of palm. And she's pretty adaptable in where you grow her. She can grow in full sun, she can grow in part sun, or even shade. For garden uses, I like to use her as an understory buffer plant. You can also use her as a visual screen, as you can see here. It just looks great, right? Nice and full and tropical looking. This here is the spiny loquala, goes by the botanical name Loquala spinosa, grows from zones 10A to 11, will get to about 10-15 feet overall over time, has some thorns along the petioles, so you do need to be aware of that, but really cool pattern to these fronds, right? On garden uses, she's great as a small accent. You can use her as understory, does best probably in part sun, I have found. Nice palm. And speaking of nice palms, look at these. These are the ruffled fan palm. This is the cousin to the spinosa. This is Loquala grandis. I must say that the red sealing wax, this one gives it a run for the money. This is right up there as my second, third favorite non-native palm. So spectacular. Doesn't want to grow very tall, not very fast growing, does well in zones 10B to 11. And on garden uses, I recommend using them for an understory accent. You can use them around a courtyard or a fountain. You can even grow these in pots. Very versatile.
Oh my God, you guys, look at this. Isn't she beautiful? So adorable. Wow. Wow. Just wow. Hi.
This bonus palm is quite hard to get your hands on. It typically only grows in zones 11 and only growing in a greenhouse. This one here is at Fairchild Tropical Gardens. So pretty though, stunning, will take your breath away.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you found this informative and you got some good ideas for your garden space.
And please remember to like and subscribe.
Yes, thank you. We really appreciate you being part of our gardening community. And as we're under the windy day here, thank you for dealing with that. We've tried to do our best to control the sound, but Amy and I are fanning Stephanie here with the Fiji fan. And we hope that these were good ideas for your South Florida garden or your garden in general from zone 7 to 11. So, until next video.
Bye.
Wow.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And tell your friends and family. We post videos weekly. Thanks.